How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and today we are back with World of Tanks' console news for the new season, Heavy Metal. And we've got a few brand new vehicles within this season coming on Tuesday, so that'll be essentially Tuesday the 23rd of July, running until the 1st of October. So a very long season, about 2 and a bit months of full gameplay. So whether or not they're going to add in some extra season challenges, extra bits and bobs within this whole thing, then we don't quite know. But yeah, a very, very long season until the 1st of October. So we've got a long way to go in the season. Mostly everyone is going to be able to complete it within a 2 and a bit month time span, which I think is good. But of course, that does mean that we're not getting any extra content probably for a long time. And of course, that can be a bit annoying. But what's actually within this season and what makes it special compared to some of the other seasons? Well, this is Heavy Metal, which I would assume would infer that, as with some of the previous stuff that we've had, metal music, that sort of stuff. I don't know. We've had in the past things like, I don't know whether it was Metallica, but I think we had some form of event, Metal Fest. I don't even know. We had a heavy metal music event thing that was going on with a load of tanks, that sort of stuff. So whether they're going to try and incorporate that, we have no idea. That's just speculation. But I would assume maybe that is covered within this article. Maybe that's what we're going to see. But as you can see, Heavy Metal season emblem. So you get all of this sort of stuff, which is in there. We've got Heavy Metal Hero, which is obviously music inspired, hence why it's possible we see some music themed event or something like that, where maybe we'll see some of the older vehicles come back. No idea. But obviously that's licensed content. We're not sure if that's going to come in. But in terms of the actual season pass itself, we have a new Leclerc T4 Terminator, apparently, which is available within, of course, the Ultimate Season Pass. So this is a Detente Era 3 Western Alliance heavy tank, but we'll go through the free rewards, as I'm sure most of you will be wondering, what is the free reward? So without purchasing the Season Pass whatsoever, not even the low price Season Pass, which gives you your gold back, you're actually going to get the GSAW 1008 Tank Destroyer, which is the British TD that has a autoloader. It's a pretty interesting vehicle. And has 320 damage. I believe it has 3 or 4 shells. So it has 4 shells, so you're 320. So you're looking at 1280 total damage, I believe, if my maths is correct, which hopefully it should be since I'm an engineer. But a 2-second intricate reload is decent. The only thing I found with this tank is that the aiming or accuracy felt a little bit off. I don't know what it was, but it's still a very, very fun tank to play and something a little bit different. It's armor is okay on the turret, but the hull armor is pretty garbage. And at the end of the day, I think it's a nice free tank to have, and I don't believe we've had it as part of a season previously within the game. So I think that's a nice little season reward. I think it was available as part of an earn challenge, though. Don't quote me on that, but I think it may have been. Either way, we've got rewards every few stages. And these every few stages have things like silver, gold, you got premium account time, XP boosters, all of the usual stuff that's added in there. You have the Cersei 2D Standard Commander, which I'm sure will be showcased below, and in fact is right there on the screen. So a kind of heavy metal inspired female, or I don't even know what the correct term is, I apologize. But anyway, there is Cersei's 2D Commander, which is in there. And of course, then we've got the Season Pass. So what actually comes with the Season Pass, which costs 2,000 gold? Well, you of course get 2,300 gold back from the season. 2,100, I believe, actually. We should probably zoom in a little bit so we can see it a little bit easier. And there you go, 2,100. So you get your gold back from the season if you purchase it, plus you get all of the extra rewards. And that is like actual gold that you can spend on whatever you want. So you could use it, not spend any of that gold and purchase the next season pass whenever that comes out. But in terms of tanks, we got the Lioness Skoda T45, which is a bit disappointing. It's not the greatest, to be honest with you. It's pretty boring, but that's in there. We also have the Panther 88, which is an L71. So that is, just the Panther 88. It's in the game already. It's nothing too amazing, but it definitely was better since they buffed it. And it feels really, really nice to play. I enjoy playing that vehicle when I do take it for a spin. It's a tier 8 German medium tank that has a pretty solid gun, and we can of course have a quick look at the stats. 280 damage, obviously got buffed with the recent changes in terms of the damage it deals. It's a pretty fast vehicle, 52 kilometers an hour for a medium, very good aiming time, very good accuracy, and feels like a laser in the game. 8 degrees of gun depression. Armor does suck, it is gigantic, and pretty much made of cardboard, because even though it would probably have had armor against the tanks it was facing in the real world, it's playing at tier 8. And so up against things like the T-34, these sorts of premiums, all sorts around, its armor just doesn't really work. Big lower plate, which is a key weak point. You've got the turret, which is pretty underwhelming. So yeah, it's not particularly great. So yeah, that is kind of what that tank is about, but I really enjoy playing it. So I'm sure many people won't, but if you've got a bit more experience, you played the game for a bit longer, I'm sure you can make it work, and it works really well when it does. So yeah, I think that's a decent one to add in there. You've also then got the brand new American Tier 10 T114 Battalion Anti-Tank Destroyer, which is this one right here, which, considering that this is a tier 10, looks pretty interesting. We'll get into the stats later on down the line. Ultimate Season Pass, obviously you get your Terminator, you get the Cocorico hero skin, which is the Leclerc T4 Terminator. This is this one here, and you also get Vincent Duchateau 3D Premium Commander as well. So you get all of the skins, you get the actual commander, and you get some extra bits and bobs, which is such as the level skips. Now this is 86,000 gold. As I always say, if you've got money, you're going to spend it on a Detente Era 3, and you want a cheap Detente Era 3, 6,000 gold, which is 4,000 more than the standard season pass, is probably the cheapest you'll ever find a vehicle that is either tier 10 or Detente Era 3 in the game. So in terms of pricing, it's about £15, which additional to the normal season pass, I mean. So yeah, it's the best value for money, but obviously it depends on what the tank is like and whether you really want to spend like £25 on the season. It depends on what your financial situation is. I'm not going to tell you should or shouldn't. As I always say, most of the time I will defer to, please don't buy this thing, it's super overpriced, but this is okay. And yeah, I'm not going to comment on it anymore. I get people saying, oh, you're promoting Wargaming's products. No, I'm telling you that out of everything in the game, it's the cheapest thing, and if you want a tank, then that is what it is. Yeah, I don't get paid by Warmeg Gaming. I literally the only thing that is actually beneficial to me as a CC is the fact that I can review the tanks to you to tell you, no, don't spend £60 on this tank. So yeah, that is literally the only thing I get out of the whole program. Realistically, yeah, nothing too major. Anyway, heavy metal season cosmetics and medal. Here you go. You've got yourself some medals, emblems, nothing spectacular here. I'm not going to comment on this. You do get the season medal. It's cool. It's a limited time thing, I assume, but there you go. And then of course you've got the additional rewards once you do reach rank 100, or you go up above rank 100 to rank 118 or rank 124. And every time I say rank, it's very close to another word, I'm sure you guys know. But anyway, once you complete the season, you get to rank 100, you get 25% vehicle XP bonus. Once you get to 118, you'll get 25% commander XP bonus, and then 24, you'll get 25% silver bonus, which is a nice little addition if you do manage to get up and above the 100 level. And then we've got Heavy Metal Starter Pack. This is available at the beginning of the Heavy Metal season. It's free. You pick it up in the store section. It will be in the special section, something, or DLC section. I don't know. Anyway, you can pick it up for free. It will say $0, 0 cents, or £0, 0 pence, whatever it is. It's 0 wherever you are, so it's available. Now, depending on where you are in the world, sometimes I think it's a bit iffy with regards to Xbox, Microsoft, and obviously PlayStation, Sony, as to whether they give you the option to purchase DLC in different countries. So I'm not sure if it's just rolled out to absolutely everyone, but it may be like region locked. It's not by Wargaming. I don't assume it'll be something to do with, like, I don't know, selling stuff. I don't know. Either way, it's for free for almost everyone, if not everyone in the game, depending on region, of course. Then we've got Heavy Metal Season tanks. So this is the G-Saw. If you've already got the tanks that are in the season that have already been released previously, you'll get silver. For the G-Saw, you get 3.6 million. If you've got the Lioness, you'll get 2.8 million. If you've got the Panther MIT 88, you'll get 2.9 million. So you can get yourself a decent chunk of silver just right there, about 9 million worth, which is pretty decent. But we get into the most kind of interesting vehicle of this whole season, which is the T114 Battalion Anti-Tank, armed with a 3-round autoloader. Oh, there we go, another autoloader into the game. And impressive mobility for a tank destroyer. The T114 feels like a light tank with an unapologetic bad attitude. Best used at mid-range engagements and in hit-and-run maneuvers. This vehicle plays like a guitar. The more you use it, the better you get at it. And it won't be long before you unleash incredible performances in the battle. Okay, so this screams this tank is not particularly very good. And in order for you to be good, you have to be good. That's what that statement reads like, but we'll take a breakdown of the actual stats of the tank, which Wargaming have quite happily given us. So starting off, in terms of damage, you've got a 420 alpha damage gun, which is good. I think that they've been going way too hard with the amount of autoloaders having, 700 damage, crazy amounts of damage, etc. And coming in with 420, not too bad, especially considering you got an inch-clip reload of 3 seconds, so it's on the longer side, but it's still not bad. And so I think that's a nice little inch-clip reload. It's not way too long to the point where it just becomes, well, I could just play a medium tank and have much better DPM. That is kind of a positive. The tank goes 57 kilometers an hour. And what's special about this is it has a horsepower to ton ratio of 28. That is rivaling and even beating a lot of light tanks in the game in World War II. So it is going to be rapid, although going to top out at 57 kilometers an hour. So I'd highly recommend, or what I'm going to try out, is actually putting some equipment in this vehicle to boost up the top speed, because you are not going to be held back by the horsepower, you're going to be held back by the actual top speed limit of the vehicle. So putting in your traction system, advanced powertrain is going to help you with regards to the top speed and probably make this tank a little bit more interesting with regards to being a TD that has, much faster speeds than a lot of the other TDs in the game, plus a pretty deadly autoloader. I mean, 315 pen on its standard rounds is amazing, absolutely amazing, and because they are standard rounds, they're not going to be expensive. And so, yeah, very, very nice to have. And then it's got HE, but the HE has 180 pen, which means up against the light tanks and medium tanks with basically no armor, and even medium tanks with armor, you're going to be able to do 570 damage. So almost think of these rounds like HESH. I mean, they're labeled as HE, but to all intents and purposes, they are HESH. And the only problem with this sort of round is the speed. The speed of these two rounds is atrocious, and I mean atrocious. The heat rounds have 503 meters a second shell velocity, which puts it below even KV2's HE, I believe. It's slow, and I don't know if this is a typo, but it's super slow. It is going to be like trying to golf people in this thing, which when you consider that, I don't know. It seems such a weird way of trying to either balance the tank or make it novel. It seems weird, and I don't know why they went with such terrible shell velocity, even if in reality, if this tank even was a tank in reality, why it would be so slow in its rounds. I think it's going to make it very, very difficult to hit people at long ranges, which is probably why they said mid to close quarters engagements. And so, yeah, I think it could be an interesting tank. Aim time of 1.9 seconds with an accuracy of 0.3 makes this very, very laser-like with regards to its gun. So, depending on how the bloom is, which I think is going to be the biggest issue of this tank, in terms of, once you fire, how big is that bloom going to go? And if you're moving around, how big is that accuracy circle going to be? I think that will be probably the biggest thing about this tank, because it is so fast that when you are moving at the top speed, your accuracy is going to go really high, or not accuracy, but your bloom, or the range at which you're going to actually be able to hit people, is going to bloom right out, so you're not going to be as accurate. And so I think that could potentially be an issue with this vehicle, but of course we'll have to see and play test the vehicle before making some assumptions. But it is an issue that I could potentially see, especially with such bad shell velocity rounds. It could be a bit of a crapper, to be honest with you. So view range 390 is good. Seems like this tank is going to be pretty boxy, and in terms of its armor, there's not been a lot actually said. So depending on what that looks like, which appears to be basically none, yeah, this could be very, very difficult for the average Joe to play, which is going to be a bit annoying, I assume, if you've paid your extra bit of money for a tank that really doesn't do a whole lot that you potentially want it to. So yeah, DPM wise 2.7 thousand, which if you are loading those HE rounds can go up substantially, probably sitting around 3,300, but you are trading off that penetration and the shell velocity speed, albeit only 5 meters a second. But yeah, I think this tank will be an interesting one, and I'm glad that they're kind of testing out something a bit different to your bog standard, which has been my main issue with some of the tanks that they've been releasing recently. We just have to hope that it's not too fast for a tank and that it isn't just another boring vehicle. I'm happy with them introducing a tank that isn't broken as hell, but it has to be done in the right way, where the tank has some form of want to actually play it, otherwise what's the point? So this looks like it could have potential for that. It might not be that good, but at least they're trying it out, and I think that could be a cool little vehicle to try out. But we never know, it could be absolutely broken and I've completely missed something, which is entirely possible, but for me doesn't look particularly broken and probably isn't going to be that great in the game, albeit it is going to be an interesting and fun vehicle, I think. So that is what it is. The actual skin for the vehicle you can see right here. So I'll pause it there. That is what the vehicle actually looks like with the skin, I believe. So maybe it has a skin. Phantom of the Jungle. So after completing 20 additional stages, you will get the Phantom of the Jungle. So once you do complete 120 levels of the season, you'll get this skin, which is cool. I like the addition of the extra rewards once you get past level 100. Then we've got Leclerc T4 Terminator, which is this vehicle. So this is the Detente Era 3. Kind of looks like an Abrams, to be honest. But of course French version, which is probably going to be worse. Then we've got the 8 degrees of gun depression, 60% silver bonus, which is really nice. I didn't actually check if the T14 does. It doesn't. It gets XP bonus. Okay, cool. The T14, 3,800 hit points is okay. Nothing spectacular. Power to weight's 26, which is okay, good. Speed limit 71. Hull traverse, turret traverse 3840, which is okay. 8 degrees of gun depression, 848 pen, which is good, with 700 damage. So almost looks like an MBT style main armament. And then you've got 2.1 second aim time, 0.31 accuracy, which is, fairly bog standard. DPM on the lower side, 3.85 thousand. And then you've got AP FSDS and Hesh rounds. Hesh rounds dealing an extra 170 damage, but sacrificing 528 pen in order to do that extra 170 pen or 170 damage. View range 565. It looks like a M4 variant that is basically French. Yeah, I don't know, man. It is what it is. I don't think it's going to be particularly game breaking. It really depends on the armor model, and even that, it looks like it's got a pretty flat plate at the bottom, although it does look like it kind of insets a little bit, so maybe it's got a dual double padded lower plate, which could be good for the armor. Upper plate very well angled, going to be hard to pen, but that flat bar on the front right there, highlighted in red, that could potentially be an issue, which people do come into when playing this vehicle. And the turret is very, very flat, but we'll see what the actual armor values are, because Wargaming don't give them in the actual news video or news articles, which is kind of annoying and kind of pointless as to, yeah, here you go, this is the strongest bit of armor, but it could be 10 mil thick and everything else is like 3 mil, but you know, or it could be 5,000 meters thick or 4,000. You get the idea. It's pointless giving us this. It just shows you where the thickest parts are versus where the thinnest parts are. Maybe they don't want to do it because it's early, it's before it's actually released, and maybe they make a change or something like that. I don't know. But it could be useful to actually just give stats may vary. Armor thicknesses shown below are indicative only, or something like that. You know what I mean? Just to state it could change. It's probably not going to, but it could. But take it as a pinch of salt when you look at the stats, but it would give us an indication. So that's what I would do. And then you've got the skin here. Looks pretty cool skin. I think, you know, can't really complain about skins and stuff like that in the game. I think the more skins, the better. More customization, make your tank feel like it's your tank. I'd rather that than more broken premium tanks. Season commanders, we have, of course, got Cersei, I believe, 2D standard commander, and then we've got, of course, Vincent du Chateau, which is right here, and then we've got the season stage buyouts, which I probably wouldn't recommend. So, yeah, they're just super expensive. The only time I would ever recommend a season stage buyout is if you're like 4 levels from completing the season pass, and so you spend 1,000 gold in order to get a premium tank that you weren't going to possibly get from just playing the game. That is the only time I would ever say that it could potentially be worth it. And certainly when the update goes live, do not purchase all of the levels at the beginning. It is not worth it. It is ridiculously expensive to do it, and I wouldn't, even if you've got a ton of money, don't do it, because it's crazy giving Wargaming that much money for skipping some levels, which usually after about 4 weeks everyone's got the rank 100 anyway. So yeah, there we go. That is the season pass. Very interesting vehicles there, but I'd be interested to see your thoughts, what you actually think, and what you could potentially see coming with the new season as well, because obviously this isn't it. This is just the season pass information. I'd be interested to see what you'd like to see actually come into the game with the heavy metal season. Maybe some heavy metal themed cosmetics, guitars that you can put in your garage. I don't know. I'd be interested to see what you would like to see with this, and maybe even some I don't know, feature of some bands, or I don't know, whatever it is. But there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.